are a scruffy-looking Nerf herder. We all are.
I prefer Nerf handler.
Gaten, how
Hey, Joe.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
It's good to see you too. Look, I think Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy is the best way to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Lego Star Wars. Not only is this hilarious, but it's a fantastic story, and I think it's perfect for any level of Star Wars fan that you are. Even if you've never seen Star Wars, I think this is such a great like 4-part miniseries.
Yeah.
Now, tell us a little bit about Sig and his brotherly bond with Dev, and how that gets all turned upside down when the galaxy gets rebuilt.
Yeah, Sig's just like a small town kid, and he just likes his life. He likes what he does. He's a Nerf herder. He likes herding Nerfs, and he likes his family and his friends, and he loves Star Wars and like his area. He feels content and happy and secure and safe. And Dev is kind of the polar opposite. Dev is a bit of a hothead. He's excited to get out of his sleepy town and go explore the galaxy that's right out there in front of him. And despite their differences and despite how opposite they are, they couldn't be closer as brothers. And I think it's a dynamic that people who have brothers or siblings in general also agree with. Like, I have 2 siblings I love very much, and we may have very different vibes completely at times. And I couldn't ask for better friends than them. And what happens is, during a bit of an adventure, during an ion storm, a bit of a lightning storm on the planet, they end up getting whisked away and come across a ancient Jedi temple, which is news to pretty much everybody because Sig is a huge fan of Star Wars lore, but because we're a little bit further in the future, it's not confirmed as to what's necessarily true and what isn't, and it's more stories of legend that Sig has always talked about with his friends. And I think the concept of a Star Wars fan in a Star Wars show is very funny. But they end up finding what is called the Cornerstone, and it gets removed from where it was placed during a bit of a argument with Dev and Sig. And when that happens, it compromises the structural integrity of the galaxy, and everything gets shuffled around and flipped upside down pretty much on its head. And Sig emerges from this temple with the sacred guardian of this temple, Jedi Bob, only to find that his brother has now in this reshuffled galaxy turned into a Sith Lord. And the journey begins of trying to reverse the galaxy back, but most importantly to Sig, get his brother back. And Dev's newfound objective throughout all of this is to get the Cornerstone so we can have complete autonomy over the structure of this galaxy. And it's really, really exciting to see both of these characters experience this new world as Force users, because Sig, even in the context of the last universe before it was shuffled, was starting to develop his own abilities as a Force user.
Absolutely. Dude, well said. Amazing job at that synopsis of Rebuild the Galaxy. Now, I love the chemistry that you have with Tony as Dev. Did you and Tony get to record together?
We never did. No, actually. It's crazy that the most we've gotten to know each other is during today on our press junket, during some interviews. A lot of that is thanks to Dan and Benji, our writers, and Chris, our director, of being able to give a great lens and description as to what the dynamic is and how it is we're supposed to be interacting with each other. And Tony's such a talented actor, someone I've been a fan of for a long time. So I think I was just really, really jazzed to hear I would be inadvertently working with him, and now promoting the show with him has been a blast.
Now, I got to talk about Dan and Benji because they're absolutely incredible writers. It is no easy task to do comedy in Star Wars, but they nail it. Can you talk about working with them?
They are like a dynamic duo. They are firecrackers, and they love the Star Wars universe so much, and they love the show that they've made so much. And I think they've been able to just find a really good middle ground of something that's so touching and loved and knowledgeable about the universe. They're huge Star Wars fans. Same with me. And when I read the script initially, I was like, this is a for fans by fans. Yes. And I think that's what makes it so refreshing, is that it's low stakes and it's fun, and it pokes fun at itself, and it pokes fun at Star Wars fans, because we are a notoriously hard bunch to please. And I think it does acknowledge that very, very well. And I think it's just going to be really well loved by people who love this franchise as much as everybody involved making it does.
Now, this is a great comedy, but at its heart, it's about two brothers. Now, what does Sig learn about himself once the galaxy's rebuilt? And what does he learn about his relationship with Dev towards the course of the series?
I think what Sig's major journey is understanding that he loved his small town life because he felt secure, and it was a way to kind of push away his own anxieties about himself and his potential. And it's kind of one of those situations where like you're never going to fail at something you don't necessarily try at. And it's kind of him discovering that like the greatest tragedy in that situation would be not to try, would be not to ever really know about unlocking your full potential. And about his relationship with Dev, I think what's so great is that you really learn the extent of your love for your family and for the people who are most important to you through the hardest times. And what's a harder time than your brother actively trying to kill you, and still maintaining a certain level of, I know he's still in there. I know I can do this because I know my brother more than anybody in the world. And and that's the thing, is it raises the stakes so much for Sig. It would be a different situation if it was any old Sith Lord trying to come after him, but it's his own brother. And sometimes you have to fight through tough times to maintain that level of love and support from your family. And it's, of course, a very exaggerated situation, because I'd certainly hope that nobody's brother is a Sith Lord trying to slice their head off. Yeah, I think it's just a lot of fun. And Tony does such a good job in his performance that it's... I'm just so excited for people to see it. Yeah,
it is so much fun. I felt like when I was watching this, it's as if I was a kid playing with these Legos and
right?
This story. Now, but after watching this too, I also thought that, this is Lego Star Wars, and if they rebuilt the galaxy again, it would be a lot of fun to see Dev as the Jedi and Sig as the Sith.
Right?
Is that where would you like to see these characters go next, if there is another one?
I would just love to see. That's a really good question. I think what's really incredible, what is daunting but is really freeing, is that there are endless opportunities. There's endless options. The writers have given themselves anything they want to do at their disposal in the Star Wars universe. They can put anything anywhere. And I think if we are to do another one, they're going to further expand into that, I hope, into the idea of a multiverse, because I think a multiverse right now, considering how much of it is like taken over modern franchises, has become pretty exhausting, at least for viewers. I'm sure for the people making it, and at least personally, the way I feel is anytime I watch, I'm like, ugh, it overcomplicates everything. Yes. But there's something so beautiful about the way Dan, Benji, and Chris have gone about it, where they completely go down the rabbit hole to an extent in which they kind of poke fun at it and make something fun and refreshing and low stakes. And I'd love to see that expand, and I'd love to see Sig and Dev have more screen time together. And even if Dev is still this new version, this new Sith Lord Dev, there's still, because there's endless opportunities, that doesn't necessarily mean that they couldn't potentially get along in some capacity in that world. Like people, yeah. So maybe.
Look, last question I have for you is we recently lost the legendary James Earl Jones. He's a phenomenal stage actor as well as a screen actor. Can you share some of your favorite memories of him?
He's like an absolute integral part of why I do what I do. I think many actors are going to say that when it comes to, of course, like my love for Star Wars and his work in the voiceover world, which he's cranked out literally some of the most iconic performances to ever be on screen and in the voiceover booth, but also on stage. I'm such a theater nerd. I grew up in theater, and just being able to, I never got to see him live, but I always really, really wanted to. But he was a legend that the legends looked up to. He was somebody who, if you ever wanted to learn about being a dynamic performer, about branching off into new worlds that you didn't necessarily know you could approach, he was the one who did it. He was an absolute trailblazer in every sense of the word. And really just excited to say I got to see him in the process of doing that. Like, I got to be alive at the same time as him. I got to hear stories about him through friends who knew him well. And that's a real honor. And just really excited to see that he had a really long, wonderful life. Wish his family the best, of course. I could only hope for 93 years like he had, and 93 very successful, wonderful, iconic years. So he's going to live on for absolutely forever as one of the greats to ever be a part of this industry. And that's a hard thing to do. And yeah, I just wish his family the best throughout all this time, and offer my condolences as somebody who's just a fan.
Absolutely. Well said, Gaten. Thank you so much for your time, man. It's always a pleasure chatting with you. I can't wait for people to see this. It is so much fun. It's a fantastic story. And you're right. I love what it does with the multiverse story. It turns it right on its head.
Yeah, right? It's fun. Thanks.
So much fun. Appreciate you, man.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
The second you have powers and can do extraordinary things, people expect extraordinary things from you. And I just want to be ordinary.